Welcome to the Rapport Advantage podcast, transforming the way leaders communicate. Here's your host, human behavior expert and professional speaker, Alex Swire-Clark.
Welcome to the show. Chief Meteorologist Alex Swire-Clark here with you, and Liz Parker telling you it's going to be raining and raining and raining and raining and raining. So build an ark.
Exactly. It has been raining. But hey, Alex, how are you?
I'm doing super, Liz. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Welcome to the Rapport Advantage podcast, everyone. We're excited to have you with us today. And if you haven't listened to our podcast before, we are here to help you break down the walls of miscommunication, increase your emotional intelligence, and build better relationships in the workplace and beyond.
No.
Yes, we are.
No.
That's what we do. Don't argue. Come on, voice of whoever you are. Get out of here.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, it's my show. I'll tell you what we do. My name is Alex Swire-Clark. I am a CEO and speaker and certified human behavior expert with a little dabble of emotional intelligence in there.
Woo, nicely said. And I'm Liz Parker. I'm certified behavioral analyst, strategic growth consultant, job benchmarking whiz, and Vistage chair.
Wonderful, wonderful. This show is all about you, the listener, so give us your input and feedback. You can find us on Facebook at The Rapport Advantage, on Twitter at Rapport Podcast, or you can visit the website at rapportadvantage.com, and you can leave us a digital message through our SpeakPipe app or hit the contact form and hook us up with any questions or comments you have. We'd love to hear from you. Today, we continue our series of top 5 values to a team for each personality style, and last week we did the high Ds, even though I couldn't remember we did the last show last week. Because I'm old and I have 5 kids. So, Liz is with me in the shade. Let's go with the high I's. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So, top 5 values to a team that the I's present. This all goes back to what Liz specializes in, which is job benchmarking and making sure that when you assemble a leadership team or a team in general, that you're having different personality styles from different parts of the wheel, as we call it, or the different quadrants, so to speak, so that you've got that balance, because that creative side in business is often overlooked. Yes, we need to meet our numbers and we need to have our performance and rah, but we also need to have creative ways to problem solve and things like that, and we'll get into that a little bit today.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, Alex, but you also do job benchmarking, so thank you for giving me the spotlight. I appreciate it. That's your high S coming through, but you're pulling your high I out today.
The light is shining down on you. Anyway, number 1 in that list is high I's bring to the team, optimism and enthusiasm. And between the two of us, we don't have much of that going on at all. So,
None at
I really
all.
don't understand what we're going to talk about on this particular part of it. No, we're all enthusiastic. Yes, we enjoy having fun. We enjoy pepping people up. If we are the half glass full side of the equation, the C's typically are that half glass empty. Look at a candidate, for example. If you're looking for a job candidate, okay, well, they don't have this and they don't have that and they don't have this. And then I will turn around and say, well, but they do have this, and I see the potential in them to do that, and they could grow, and we could coach them, and we can mold them, and they'll be awesome, and I can get excited about them. Woohoo! And besides that, they have pugs, and we used to have pugs, and that's got to count for something, right?
Yes.
Yes, it does. So, God bless us.
Well, I do have to say that optimism can irritate those of us who are not high I's, because I find that in the morning when I can get up and be happy about the whole thing, or somewhere in the day when something's going on, I still pull that little, bright blue sky out of something. It can irritate those people who don't want to go there. So we have to be conscious of that as well.
We do. Our little rays of sunshine, some people put up umbrellas so they can block it so they don't have to see it and deal with it every day, but that's just how they're wired. And I'm blessed that I'm a high I because I see the world in that positive way, and I think that's just a great way to do it. And we have to have those C's and D's to balance us out, and that's why we learn this thing, because when you have that knowledge, you can balance each other out. Because if you have a room full of high C's, or a room full of high S's or D's for that matter, you're going to have limited perspective in terms of how you approach problem solving, in terms of how you build relationships and things like that. Yay.
Ooh, good catch on that one, because we are headed to the top 5 values to the team. Number 2 is creative problem solving. So nicely pulled that one out. And I have to say that in the creative problem solving, we are so good because we do not believe in rules. We have usually low rule abidance. So because of that, we are able to look at all different avenues. Our optimism helps us go outside those boundaries. We're always looking to try and figure out a different way to do something. So it brings to mind a little story I thought I'd share with you. My father was in construction, and as he was getting older, we were living in Iowa at the time. As he was getting older, he'd come up and he'd sit out on the porch, and there was somebody building a house across the street. So he'd sit out there and watch. And, I don't like to waste time as I'm just sitting there watching something. So I wanted to patch part of the little sidewalk that was right there where we were sitting. I kept looking at this, seeing this hole. So I went in and I got a mixing bowl and a wooden spoon, and I went out to the garage and I whipped up a little batch of concrete to have Quickcrete put out in my sidewalk. And I came out with my mixing bowl and my wooden spoon and concrete. And I swear my father just about fell off his chair. He's like, "What are you doing putting concrete in a mixing bowl and a wooden spoon?" I'm like, "I only needed a little batch. I didn't need to have a great big, wheelbarrow full." And he just about died. He was like, "Who does that?"
Well, you had the tools that you had. You just got to deal with what you got to deal with. You fixed your little problem.
I did. And I was able to just have that satisfaction of letting my father, being a high I, watch me do it. So I was the center of attention as I fixed my patch with a unique way.
That is super. That is super. I was at the Hugh OBrien Youth Leadership, which is Hobie, for those of you who understand Hobie, with my daughter this past weekend. She was accepted in that program. So it was cool. It was a little 3-day seminar. And one of the speakers they had there was talking about left brain, right brain science, and how you need to get more into your right brain to come up with that creative problem-solving aspect of things. And he did a cool little game with us. He would start with the number 1, and as you do this in pairs, he would start with the number 1, and then his partner, who happened to be me for that demonstration, would say 2, and then he would say 3, and then you start over. And so then I would say 1, he'd say 2, I'd say 3. He would do that activity. So Liz and I'll try and do that right now. So I'll start out, and I'll go with 1. Okay, so 1,
2,
3,
1,
2,
3,
1,
2,
3,
1,
2,
3,
1.
Well, 2.
We did kind of well because we kind of live in our right brains as
We did kind of well.
We did okay. We did okay with no mess ups there. So then what he did was he said, okay, so now that you've done that for 30 or 45 seconds, now I want you to replace the 1 with a clap. Okay?
What?
So
Okay.
just replace the 1 with a clap. Okay?
All right.
Liz, you can start us out. So you start out with a clap, and I'll say
Okay.
2. We'll go from there. 2.
3. Oh, 2.
See? And so then he said, okay, y'all did that for another 30 seconds. Now we're going to add something. So instead of 2, we're going to add a dance move. And so he said, okay, everyone's going to do the nay-nay on 2. So if you don't know how to do the nay-nay, do whatever, kind of shake around. So we did that. And then for 3, he asked someone in the audience who plays a musical instrument. And someone raised her hand. She said, I play tenor saxophone. And he said, what sound does that make? And she went, huh. So we all had to do that. So 1 was a clap, 2 was a nay-nay, and 3 was a huh. And you had to make the hand motions of like playing a saxophone and go huh. And so we did that activity. And then he asked us to go back again with those same partners. This all happened in about 5 minutes or so, and said, okay, do the 1, 2, 3 activity again, just with the numbers. And it was amazing because I kind of bowed out after the first one, and I didn't have a partner beside me, so I was doing more that whole I'm watching the speaker do what he does kind of thing, just to kind of observe. And so it was crazy because everybody was going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it was just back and forth because people had started creating those neural connections on that right side of the brain, on that creative side. So it it was crazy. It was crazy, and people were, after they were done, like they were kind of gasping because it was that immediate of an effect. Then he went down this thing where you try writing the alphabet backwards with your non-dominant hand. Oh, that was just brutal. And so you start on the right side of the page instead of the left, as you're doing A, B, C, and then he showed us a video where there's a girl from, I believe it was China, who could write with both hands at the same time, going 2 different directions in Chinese, and then she would do 1 in Chinese and 1 in another language.
Oh,
it's just crazy.
goodness.
So just triggering that whole right side of the brain leads to that creative problem solving. And eyes are great at that because, again, like you said, we're not about rules and details. We live in that right side of the brain. And so you as an entrepreneur or as a leader, project manager, you need to tap into those people. Yes, we can be a little bit skittish. Yes, we might not show up to the meeting 45 minutes early, but we are creative in terms of how we think outside the box.
Wow, what a great story that is. That's a good exercise to go through. And it could motivate others toward their goals if we looked at number 3.
That's true. So why don't you take off of that one?
As I look at that, I'm sitting here thinking about how we do motivate other people. And high eyes love to motivate others. We love to influence and persuade and get people to join us on our whatever our mission happens to be. Because first, it feeds our need for center of attention, but we also just like being around people. So as you think about motivating others towards their goals, we like to be able to figure out what is the thing that person needs. So looking at how we use our DIS and C, we're able to kind of say, hey, this person loves to have this. I love knowing about that for this person. So I'm going to give that D, that direction, that very clear direction on what they need to go towards. So we're very good about making sure that we bring everybody kind of together and getting them motivated.
And so we love to inspire folks as well. But the key is, without this disc knowledge, of personality styles, it's difficult to say, okay, how do I motivate that D? Well, people don't ask that question because they don't even know that it exists. They just say, I'm going to motivate him. Okay, let's go, Roger. Woo! You can do it. Woo! I got you, man. And they're like, dude, turn the sound off. Just mute yourself. I got this. Okay. I'm sorry. I was just trying to be helpful. And then the I is maybe offended or not or whatever else, but they're struggling with, why didn't that work? Because that
works for me all the time.
Works for me all the time. Exactly. And so again, that's the power in this knowledge that we're trying to communicate to you guys, is that until you understand it, you can't apply it. And if you can apply it, then you're unlocking all these tools. Anywho, not patting ourselves on the back, but this is good stuff. Because we are eyes. We like to pat ourselves on the back. So
we do. Take us to number 4, Alex.
So number 4 is, again, top 5 values to a team is that eyes are team players. And so when you look at leadership dynamics, D's typically lead from the front. S's tend to lead from behind. C's tend to lead from the side, kind of looking at the big picture. And I's are about leading from the middle. So they're all about getting everybody fired up. And if they're in the middle, they can put their hands on everybody and clap and woohoo and influence people, get out there and touchy-feely kind of deal. So from that particular standpoint, they're going to be ones that are always willing to volunteer, willing to pitch in, willing to be helpful, and to make sure that the team goal is met, because if they do that and they're recognized for that, I want to thank Liz for all her contributions. She was in there putting up streamers before 6 o'clock in the morning and da-da-da-da. I just want to thank you. Liz, you're awesome. Thank you. And so we eat that up like, yeah,
we do.
We are excited about that when people praise us like that. So we're definitely team players looking to help out in whatever way we can. Now, you may ask us to do something that we're not familiar with, and by golly, we're going to try it. It could be a total but we're going to give it our best. So
well, and I think what's important about that is that goes back to that creative problem solving too. As a team player, if we're not sure how to do it, we will go back and we'll figure that out. And, you hit a lot of those, and we'll come into it with the optimism. We will make sure that when you recognize me, I am now motivated more towards that goal. So you even brought out those other 3 we've already talked about. So that's pretty important. But I'm wondering from a team player standpoint for you, Alex, being an IS, do you see the difference between when you're an S team player and when you're an I team player? Does that exist separately in your brain?
It absolutely does. In fact, I was playing golf the other day with a Vistage associate of mine, and he's a high S. And so when we made the turn, he was trying to make sure that everybody got snacks, everybody good to go, you got drinks, you got enough to eat, everybody good. So don't be scared to get that popcorn, man. Just go ahead and grab it. So as S's, we always put ourselves last. We're always looking to do for others. So when you combine that with an I, as an IS that I am, you've got the rah-rah sis boom ba plus the selflessness. I'm almost that perfect team player from that standpoint of I'll do whatever it takes to make everybody happy and to make the the situation go. I'll get up there and talk if you need me to. I'll be behind the scenes, whatever it needs to do. So that flexibility in there from that I standpoint is key. So yeah, those S's are always going to be supportive, more in a reserve role. But when you combine that with the I's outgoing nature, I'm great at parties.
Yes, you are. There is no doubt about that. Well, that takes us kind of to number 5, because as I think about not the fact that you're great at parties, but the number 5 being top 5 values to the team, the 5th one is that we're good at negotiating conflicts. High I's negotiate conflicts well. So if we pick up from the team player standpoint and we understand that we do like to be in there helping each other, figuring out how to inspire people, the same thing happens when it comes to conflict. We are very good verbally. So we like to use our verbal acuity to be able to talk people and be persuasive to get them to our belief system. Now, normally we're trying to get when we say negotiate conflict, we're trying to get 2 parties to come together, but it never fails that our own opinion will pop into that.
No.
We'll figure out how to make this work for us as well. So if ours is, hey, I want the 2 to come together, then that works out perfectly for how a high I would get in the middle, verbally let each side see that they could be persuaded into coming to that center so that everybody can win. And we'll be optimistic, enthusiastic throughout the whole way.
That's right. And so when you look at the graph, the left side of the graph, you're task-oriented. The right side of the graph are people-oriented. So those people-oriented folks have the best people skills typically. And so when you look at the I versus the S's are more reserved, and they shy away from conflict. So if it's conflict between themselves and someone else, they will typically defer, or they'll say that's fine, or they'll just kind of give in or whatever for the betterment of the relationship. But an I will work because they have that people skills, and because they're, the outgoing side, they will jump in there to solve that conflict because they have that kind of wiring and that own skill set within who they are. That's a beautiful thing about I's in terms of that negotiation or arbitration. They can get in there, see both sides of the argument, and be like, hey, can't we just all get along? I mean, let's go. Come on now. We got drinks afterwards. I'm buying. Let's just shake hands and be friends. I mean, let's come on now.
Yeah, that's perfect. So I think that's a beautiful recap.
Indeed. Going back over those 5: optimism and enthusiasm, creative problem solving, motivates others toward goals. They are team players. They negotiate conflicts well, and they are just fabulous overall. And they're obviously the best style,
Even though there's no best style, we are drawn to those high I's, being our own high I's.
Busted.
Dang it. All right. Well, I tried, all you I's out there. I tried to market us. We're the best, but, no.
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay, you're right, guy. The guy was right that time. So, yes, there is no best style. Just, again, have the knowledge, figure out what styles work in what situations, and figure out what their values are, and then help them do what they already know how to do intuitively.
That's right.
Super duper. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. I'd like to thank Liz Parker, as always, for joining me today. Liz, how can folks get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me by emailing me at liz@ltresults.com or visiting my website at ltresults.com.
Perfect.
How about you?
Well, for a limited time, just for the listeners of our show, we're offering a 15% off our disc assessment. So get you a little 15% off coupon. So simply fill out our contact form on the website, which is rapportadvantage.com or alexswire-clark.com, and mention podcast coupon in the comment section, and we'll send you that coupon code, and you can use that on as many assessments as you'd like. And again, that's going to be a limited time offer, so you can use that on the $99 leadership package all the way down to the basic assessment, which is typically around $13. So you can use that coupon, and we'll be happy to allow you to do that for your team or just yourself, or maybe you and that significant other, or you and your son or daughter, to get those interactive dynamics going. On our next podcast, we'll look at the value that high S's bring to your team. And again, as I always say in my talks, the S's are the glue of every organization. They hold things together and lock it down, and we'll get into more of that next week.
I don't have much to say. Sorry, Alex.
Probably going to edit that out. But anyway, thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Rapport Advantage podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation on Facebook at The Rapport Advantage and follow us on Twitter at Rapport Podcast.